While Gilmore Girls seemingly dropped Jason out of nowhere in Season 5, there was a justification for this sudden change. The cast of Gilmore Girls were all compelling in their own right, but the love lives of the show's heroines were particularly dramatic. Whether it was Gilmore Girls' Logan in the show's later seasons or Dean nearer the beginning, Rory's various relationships were messy enough to still fuel fandom debates to this day. Meanwhile, from Max Medina to Luke Danes, Lorelai had plenty of potential suitors of her own. Although Jess left Gilmore Girls because his actor was pursuing a spin-off series, not all the show's love interests had such dignified exits. Billy Burke's Alex seemingly disappeared without any explanation after a couple of cute dates, and viewers never discovered exactly why he and Lorelai didn't work out. Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life's Rory storyline ended with her fiancé Paul unceremoniously dumping her, possibly because she repeatedly forgot she was engaged throughout the revival. However, neither of these was as disappointing as the fate of Chris Eichmann's Jason Diggoth Styles. Jason left Gilmore Girls so Lorelai could end up with Luke. Lorelai's last serious love interest before Luke suffered an off-screen breakup. First seen in Season 4, Episode 3, The Hobbit, The Sofa, and Diggoth Styles, Eichmann's quirky character is effectively a male version of Lorelai and the polar opposite of the stoic, self-serious Luke. Lorelai begins dating Jason around the same time that Jason teams up with Richard to take down his father's company, even though Jason has worked for his father for most of his life. Predictably, Jason has a chip on his shoulder about his inherited job and wealth, but he and Lorelai are otherwise well-matched throughout their conversations. Jason is one of the few characters who can not only follow Lorelai's endless cultural references but riff along with her. Jason's zany personality makes him the quirkiest and most playful of Lorelai's love interests, resulting in scenes where the typically goofy Lauren Graham ends up playing the straight man to a manic pixie dream businessman. This dynamic is unexpectedly fun, which is why Jason's sudden, unexplained exit was so disappointing. Jason was written out of Gilmore Girls Season 5 to set up Luke and Lorelai's romance, but this was absurdly abrupt given how central he had been to Season 4's story. Gilmore Girls handled Jason's exit oddly. A Year in the Life included an odd comeback from Digger. Jason Styles in Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life. Throughout Season 4, Jason was a serious Lorelai love interest who seemed like a realistic alternative to Luke or Christopher. Like Luke, Jason got along well with Rory but, unlike the star's hollow diner owner, he was straightforward about his romantic interest in Lorelai. Where Luke's worst Gilmore Girls plot sprang from his inability to communicate, Jason was almost too good at talking. Like Christopher, Jason came from money and shared Lorelai's privileged upbringing but, unlike Christopher, he didn't have a complicated, messy history with her. This should theoretically have improved their chances. However, Gilmore Girls still dropped Jason unceremoniously and ended his relationship with Lorelai off-screen when Jason objected to Richard going behind his back and making a deal with his father. Jason did speak to Lorelai at Richard's funeral in A Year in the Life, but the awkward conversation went nowhere. Ultimately, Gilmore Girls was so busy getting Luke and Lorelai together that the show's creators seemingly didn't prioritize a fitting end for Jason's relationship with her. The harsh reality of Gilmore Girls' Lorelai was that she wasn't always all that much more mature than Luke, so effectively ghosting Jason fit her character. Why Jason's Gilmore Girls exit was unsatisfying. Gilmore Girls made Lorelai and Jason a great couple. Even though viewers knew Lorelai would eventually end up with Luke, introducing a genuinely great Lorelai alternative love interest only to drop them was truly pointless by the time Gilmore Girls Season 5 rolled around. If Jason cropped up earlier in the series, like Season 1's Max, he might have seemed like part of Lorelai's journey as a character. However, the fact that Lorelai never even broke up with Jason on-screen proved that he was an afterthought by the time Gilmore Girls Season 5 began. Richard backstabbing Jason was believable given the cutthroat nature of their corporate work, but Lorelai simply ignoring him until he showed up at the Dragonfly looking for an explanation was out of character for her. The most unloved Gilmore Girls plots tend to revolve around characters acting in ways that betray their usual selves, and Lorelai just avoiding Jason and hoping he would get the message was atypically indirect for the feisty heroine. As such, Jason finally finding out that he and Lorelai had broken up unbeknownst to him well into Gilmore Girls Season 5 was a poor ending for a great character.